The two pillars explained. Okay, Kabbalah, it's all over. It's the structure of all of your temples. The two pillars in the middle pillar. Where does it come from? Well, it comes from the Jews who got it from the Phoenicians. And it's encoded with all of the ancient gods and goddesses. I've shown you in my research that those Sephiroth are associated with Greek gods and goddesses from the book The Black Arts by Richard Cavendish. They are summoning this ancient family in their magic rituals and getting information from them, communication. Kabbalah would be more of the Chronide, and Qliphoth would be more Promethean, or opposers of the Chronide. The main one would, god would be Zeus. So let's talk about where this whole schematic type encoded model comes from. Well, it comes out of Phoenicia and from, again, the writings of Sanchonathan that reveals quite a bit. In Isaac Preston Corey's History of the Ancient World, I'm going to read some of this. After he fell into enmity with his brothers Usus, who first made clothing for the body of the skins of the wild beasts which he could catch, and when there were violent storms of rain and wind, the trees in Tyre being rubbed against each other took fire, and the forest there was consumed. And Usus, having taken a tree and broken off its boughs, first dared to venture on the sea. And he consecrated two pillars to fire and wind, and worshipped them, and poured out to them the blood of the wild beast he took in hunting. And when there was an end of these, the storm and fire, he consecrated to them the stumps of wood that remained, and worshipped the pillars, and held anniversary feasts onto the stumps. So that's where it comes from. It's the worship of fire and wind. And it was expanded upon to include these Sephiroth, which would represent this ancient Chronide family out of ancient Tyre that spread across the world. And it encodes their history. Now, I also think it may even have more because they put a plus and a minus on it. And the third pillar, which reminds me of a schematics for generators and motors. It is definitely encoded. I've done some other videos on it. I may do a more intense breakdown of it down in the future, but the two pillars are fire and wind. It comes from ancient Tyre, from Usus, and it is the basis of the temples all over the place. And look at the architecture of your churches and your synagogues and your Kaaba, all of that. And this is the beginning of it. So there you are, the two pillars explained.